Hi guys, in this video we're going to make a Transformers cake. So I've printed off the Autobots logo and I've printed off two in the size that I want to do my cake. And one of them I'm going to cut around the outside edge. And on this second one we're going to cut out all the individual little pieces. So if it helps, use a ruler and a craft knife rather than the scissors for this one. And I'll just piece it together again once I've cut it out. Now I'm using modelling paste for these top bits mixed with a little bit of fondant. So I've got black modelling paste with white fondant. I've just used the Renshaw's modelling paste for this one. Got a nice dark grey colour. Now it's a little bit marbled, that is just by accident, but it's fine. You won't see that once we've finished the cake. So I've rolled it out. It's probably about 3mm thick, so it's reasonably thick. And these are going to be the decorations on the top. And I'm going to draw around, just with my modelling tool, each of these shapes. Then once I've drawn around, I'm going to cut them out properly with a knife. Again, if it helps you to get straight lines, use the ruler. So I'm cutting through each of these with a craft knife. Make sure the craft knife is clean, and I've cut it at an angle. So can you see the bottom of my piece is wider and the top is narrower? I'm using a ruler to kind of guide me where to put this. So you'll see again on this one, it's a little bit tricky. So I'm angling that craft knife so that we get a slope. That's why we've left the modelling paste quite thick when we rolled it out. So you can see this angle a little bit more for our pieces. I've done that all the way around the edge of my first piece. I want to make sure I've not stretched it or altered the size. So I'm holding it against the little cut off piece and we can just check it's exactly the same size. We're going to do the same around every piece. Be really careful if you are using a craft knife. And you'll see that even though I've used my templates, sometimes they do stretch and move places a little bit. So if I start positioning all the pieces that I've cut out together, so these are the ones we've cut out in modelling paste. You find when you start piecing them together, you might have to just trim off extra little bits because we want a little gap between each piece. Took a little bit longer than I thought it would for cutting out these pieces, but take your time with them, you don't want to rush them. Just checking they all fit together. I've just put them on kitchen roll, just ready for painting them up. And you should find these harden quite quickly. So we've just got a little bit of silver edible paint, and for this one I've used the Rainbow Dust one. I'll put links in the description box to everything that I use as well. I've not put too much of it on my brush because I don't want to get a nice even coverage. I want it to look a little bit patchy. And at the moment I've just tried to catch the top of each piece and I've tried not to get it on that angled side bit, but now we've gone all the way around, we're going to try and get a little bit on those side bits. Try and leave a little line of black if you can between the side and the top, just so it doesn't all look like one block colour. See, I'm quite messy, I've got paint everywhere. We'll try and go along just sort of the edge of the top bit with a bit more of the silver. See if we can brighten it up a little bit in areas. Then once we've done that, we're going to go back to our other piece of paper that we'd cut out, and I'm going to draw around it onto a cake board. So just make sure the cake board is a little bit bigger or the same size as what you're cutting out. I've only got a large one, so there's quite a bit of it to cut off. I've drawn on the back of it. Then turn it round and I'm going to cut the template that we've now got on our cake card. Now we're going to use the template that we've just made in the cake card to cut out the shape of the cake. So I've just got a square of chocolate cake on this one, and you can put as many layers underneath of cake as you like. Once I've cut all the way around, I'm going to cover my cake card in chocolate buttercream, and I'm going to put a light layer, or quite a thin layer of chocolate buttercream all the way around the outside edge of this cake. You can do this any size you want. I've just gone quite small with this one, but you can go larger. And I've rolled out some black fondant this time. Again, I've just used the Renshaw's black fondant. It's easier than dyeing it yourself. Just make sure it's plenty large enough to cover that cake. I'm going to press all the way around, trying to pull out any creases in the fondant. You can go over it with a cake smoother to get rid of any of those little lumps and bumps. I'm not too worried about them at the moment because we're going to be putting our pieces that we cut out earlier onto the top of the cake, so you're not really going to see those bumps too much. Cut out all the way around the outside edge. You can see my chocolate buttercream all over the board, so I'll just clean that up a little bit. Then we're going to put our template back on the cake, and I've just put my knife through the bottom of the nose so I know where to start my first piece. And in fact, what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to cut the nose out of my template just to double check I have got it in the right place. And you'll find that if you're like me, even though you've used the template to cut out pieces, they're still never exactly the same as the original template, so they won't quite fit in the same way the paper one will. So I've made sure the nose is in place. I'm going to add our next piece. If it doesn't stick, you can add a little bit of water or edible glue to your fondant just to place these on. Make sure they stay nice and tight. You could position them before sticking them down just to make sure they fit. Then once you know they fit, we can stick them on properly. So we've got all those pieces. Now they've hardened quite a bit. It doesn't take long for the modelling paste on the top to harden. And I'm just going to put it on a cake drum. So I've iced this one again in black fondant, and I've just got some texture mats. I'm just going to give a quick rub onto my board. Now I have done this quite quickly, and I should have really lined these up so they're all going in the same direction. But I've just done it very quickly, just really to give us some texture on the back of the board. Rub a little bit more silver on. Now I've gone a little bit bright with the silver. I might turn that down shortly, but we'll put the cake on first. Carefully place the cake on the cake board. You can use a bit of your chocolate buttercream to hold it in place. So that's it finished. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, be sure to hit the thumbs up button and leave me a comment below. You can see more of my tutorials by clicking on the images on screen now. If you haven't already, make sure you click the subscribe button to stay up to date with my future tutorials. There are also links in the description box below where you can find me on Facebook, Instagram and more.